Hello again, everybody. This is Karma. Welcome back to episode 47 of My Life Stories. If you're a new viewer to this channel, welcome. And I want to take a moment to remind everyone to hit that like button and subscribe and hit the bell icon to not miss any new episodes. Commenting, liking, and subscribing are a great way to support this channel. And as a subscriber, this will make it easy for you to get any new content from me without having to go looking for it. Plus, if you have any free time, listen to my playlist. So get yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get started. Today's story is called Some Common Ground. I was watching a Netflix series on TV called Cobra Kai and was reminded about the movie it's based on, The Karate Kid. This whole series is based on one specific event in the lives of two men and how their viewpoints differ when they remember the past. It's very interesting, and it got me to thinking about the most defining event in my own life. It was actually a very simple event. I went deer hunting with my dad. I was 11 years old at the time and struggling to relate to my dad. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it seemed like he and I were drifting further and further apart. He had no issues relating to my brothers, but I was a real girly girl, and I think that frustrated him to no end. I liked to wear dresses and hated to get dirty. I suggested going deer hunting with him, and even now I have to laugh when I remember the look on his face. I had never held any sort of gun in my hands, but I was desperate to find some middle ground between me and my dad. I had to beg for over a month for him to let me go hunting with him. My dad informed me that if I was serious, I would at least have to shoot a gun to see if I could handle it. I excitedly borrowed a pair of jeans from my twin brother, made myself look as masculine as possible, and gathered up all my blonde hair under a baseball cap. I was so happy to go with my dad that I never really asked any questions. Like, for example, what kind of a gun are we going to be shooting? Even if my dad had told me it would be a .270 Winchester, I would have had no clue anyway. We went to the shooting range early the next morning. I happily watched as my dad set up the targets and explained how I would use the scope on the gun and how we would shoot at the targets, etc. He also explained that the .270 Winchester had a bit of a kick and suggested that I brace myself. I planted my feet on the ground and braced all of my 80 pounds as my dad instructed me to do so. I found the target with the scope and slowly squeezed the trigger. That's all I remember until I woke up and could barely see my dad running towards me, laughing the entire way. I dragged myself up, horribly embarrassed, and brushed the dirt off of me. My dad asked if I was okay, and while avoiding his gaze, I said, "Yes, I'm okay, and I still want to go deer hunting with you." My dad fixed his stare on me and chuckled. "Okay," he said, "you can go deer hunting with me and your Uncle Jesse on Saturday." I pressed my luck. "Will it just be the three of us?" "Yes," my dad confirmed. "Just the three of us." I was over the moon. Here was my big chance to impress my dad and my uncle. All week I planned what I would wear and practiced braiding my hair so I could easily tuck it under my baseball cap. I had my whole outfit ready and picked out a lovely perfume because I liked the name, Charlie. I convinced myself that I would follow any directions my dad gave me. Maybe this could become a regular thing for the two of us, and I would be included moving forward. I felt like the trip there took forever. We left really early in the morning at 5 o'clock, and I was used to sleeping late on the weekends. My dad nudged me awake to let me know when we had arrived. I rubbed my eyes and straightened out my hat on my head. I was ready. My Uncle Jesse took off in one direction, and Dad and I went in another. We came to a deer blind, climbed inside it, and settled in. But what were we settling into? I started to ask my dad, but he put his finger up to his lips and gave me a soft shh. I was trying to absorb this whole experience, but every time I tried to open my mouth to ask a question, my dad would point and raise his eyebrows at me, so I was discouraged from making conversation or asking any questions. The silence was driving me insane, and my dad kept his eye outside the deer blind, looking at nothing. An hour crawled by slowly, and I had to go, like really bad. Not knowing what to do, I raised up my hand. My dad leaned over and I whispered in his ear, "I really have to go. Where is the bathroom?" My dad turned and whispered, "Can you see that tree?" I looked and thought I saw the tree he was pointing at. "You can go there," he said. I climbed down the deer blind and walked towards the tree, singing along the way. When I reached it, I was confused. There were no facilities, so I trudged back to the deer blind, climbed up, and loudly whispered, "Dad, I think I went to the wrong tree. I couldn't find the bathroom." My dad climbed down the deer blind and told me to get back in the truck. I went back and waited for him. Another hour crawled by. I walked back to the deer blind and climbed up. "Dad," I whispered, exasperated, "where are the deer?" My dad shushed me again, but looked like he had had enough by that time. We made our way over to the blind my Uncle Jesse was in. "Stay here," he ordered, and went up the blind by himself. As I waited for them to come back, I could hear my Uncle Jesse laughing. They climbed out of the deer blind and informed me that the deer were not coming today, and it was time to go home. I was relieved. Deer hunting was not all cracked up to what I thought it would be. As far as I could tell, it was just sitting around and not doing anything in a deer blind. It was still early and Uncle Jess was driving when my dad yelled, "Stop!" He opened the truck door and grabbed his Winchester and took off. Uncle Jess grabbed his gun and followed him. I was unsure of what to do, so I slowly got out of the truck and headed in the direction I saw them go in when I heard a loud blast. I ran further into the woods when I came to a large gully. My dad and uncle were wrestling with a large buck that had been wounded but was not dead. I was halfway to them when my uncle yelled out, "Quick! Go to the truck and bring me my buck knife and hurry!" I slowly turned and started back to the truck when Uncle Jess put his foot on the buck's throat to hold him down. "Murr!" the deer screamed and startled me so badly I took off running as if my life depended on it. I grabbed the knife and brought it back to them. "Go wait in the truck," they both ordered me. So I left. After a while, they came back to the truck and drove it as close to the gully as they could and loaded up the 18-point deer they had killed. It was then that I decided that deer hunting was not for me and that I would invite my dad to go shopping at the mall with me instead. We got home and I immediately went to take a shower. When I finished getting ready, I found everyone sitting at the table and strangely quiet. They all looked at me and smiled. So I said, "What?" Uncle Jesse asked, "Are you okay?" "Yes," I responded. "Why?" "I've never seen anyone jump a gully that high like you did," he said, and everyone started to laugh. I had thought this trip was uneventful. Years later, I found out that this was my Uncle Jesse's favorite hunting story. He said his brother-in-law had climbed up to his deer blind with a face like thunder, muttering that his only daughter was unable to keep quiet for 2 seconds and had scared all the deer away trying to ask questions, singing, and making comments. He had insisted that he had had enough and demanded that they go home now. So I never got to go deer hunting with my dad again. Can't say I was too disappointed about that, although I did find some common ground with my dad. I learned to cook and made meals out of the deer he hunted and brought home. I'll never forget this experience I got to share with my dad. I know I remember it fondly, but who knows what my dad thought, as he never said anything about it, at least not to me. Rest in peace, old hunter. I'll see you again one day. Sometimes it's hard for fathers and daughters to connect together, and that's why finding common ground is so important. What I like about this story is the fact that the writer admits that there are two sides to this story. What was your one defining event in your life? Let me know in the comments section. And give the writer 3 heart emojis to show your appreciation for this story. If you would like your story read on my channel, please submit your story to karma@karmageddon.com or post to u/Karmageddon on Reddit. All stories will be read anonymously with either initials, descriptions, or pseudonyms only. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Feel free to share with family and friends, and subscribe and hit the bell icon for any new stories to be delivered to you. Also, check out my playlists whenever you have some free time. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And that's my video for today. Remember, do something nice today. Help me change the world.
It's not their turn, it's my turn to shine. Like the rays of the sunlight reaching out my arms.
See you next Tuesday. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. Have a wonderful day and a delicious night. And I will see you later.